This is a free sample of the book, Reinvent Ideal, What to Do When You're Depressed and No One Cares Because You're Not a Chick, by Cairo Copeland. The first half of this book is posted right here on YouTube, free for everyone to listen to. If you like this content and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/ideal. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/ideal.
Chapter 12. The Myths of Mates. Being human, we are biologically and neurologically hardwired to bond with others, so much to the point where we crave it constantly, and when those bonds are severed, we can't handle it. To further fuel this need, it's become a social imperative that you find a woman that's right for you, marry her, and stay married forever. In order for society to push this imperative, tropes were invented to normalize their ideas, but these are mere myths. The soulmate. Romeo and Juliet. This is often held up as the ideal example of unconditional love. The romance story written by Shakespeare is celebrated for its depiction of it. The two title characters loved each other so much that they literally could not live without each other. The romantic ideal. To summarize the story, Romeo's family and Juliet's family hate each other, but Romeo and Juliet love each other. They're having a steamy affair behind their families' backs and fall in love. Juliet's family finds out and is forcing her to marry a man she doesn't love. She fakes her death with a sleeping potion. The message of it being fake never reaches Romeo. He hears about it and believes it to be genuine and kills himself because of it. When Juliet wakes up and finds Romeo dead, she kills herself too. Women drag their husbands and boyfriends to the stage performances of this tragedy, who grudgingly go just to appease her, and find it bearable when they realize it's just a bunch of sex and violence. The women enjoy it more than them, though, for they find it to be a glorious celebration of unconditional love. Two people who felt they were so right for each other that they couldn't exist apart. But this play is not a celebration of love. It's a damnation of it. What Shakespeare is showing us with this tragedy is how close love is to insanity. These two kids lived otherwise privileged lives, and just ended them over the fact that they couldn't have each other in them. Both of them were quite the catch for their respective genders, and could have easily had others, but they pissed away their lives, and deemed it to be unworthy of living for that fact. Shakespeare didn't mean to say unconditional love like this should be sought after. He was saying it should be avoided like the plague, because it makes you do really stupid shit. When you, as a male, think those weak-minded thoughts of, oh, I can't live without her, you'll do really stupid shit too. Yet we persist in the social imperative that there is someone we're meant to be with, a soulmate, if you will. That's what Romeo and Juliet were. If they were with anyone else, they were with the wrong person. They were meant to be with each other. No one in the audience dared question who deemed them meant to be, on what authority it was deemed with, and who gave this anonymous authority its power. Just as we, following the social imperative to search for a soulmate, are not given any solid framework to confirm the find, we're supposed to just know they're the one. If there is no definite standard to determine who can be the one other than just know it, how can you ever know it? How can there ever be a one? The most objective truth is that there cannot. There is no one. There are many good ones and many bad ones. There are even average ones. But there is no one. Adopting this mindset as early as possible will liberate you from a life of bad decisions, some of which are irreversible. This mindset will rid you of one-itis and the pains that come with it. Strange concept of there being a soulmate out there somewhere for everyone has perhaps the strongest resilience of any mythology. I've known many deeply skeptical people upon whom superstitions were shattered, religions were ridiculed, and they wiped their asses with astrology. But even they believed they had a soulmate out there for them. Maybe it was their current relationship. If they were single, they still believed there was one out there in the world waiting for them. Soulmate mythology is so much stronger because its source is biology. We're hardwired to bond with others, and our egos want us to believe we make the best bonds possible. How can something so deeply ingrained in human praxeology be a myth? Its presence in our genetics and neurology must make it meant to be part of the human experience, right? If everything from our blood to our brains screams at us that we must find our one, how can there not be such a one? Because you cannot expect someone else knows how to love you precisely in the manner that you hope, wish, and expect to be loved. Look at the two views of Shakespeare's play, celebration of love and damnation of it. They are wildly different and certainly are not the only views of it. While it would seem the message of such a play is explicit, opinions on the meaning of it differ. The same goes for a concept as complicated as love. Opinions on the meaning of it are different person to person. Some love idealistically, like the hopeless romantic, but some also love opportunistically, viewing each relationship from a mere utilitarian standpoint of, am I getting the best I can get? Perhaps there's even a little bit of both conceptions in every person. One may be more dominant than another. Inside the soul of each potential lover, these conceptions of love, idealistic and opportunistic, go to war. One of them may win the battle temporarily, but the war is never ending. Just the idea of the soulmate perpetuates the idea of opportunistic love. Suppose you found someone you thought was your one at the time, but later into the relationship, you started to have doubts about that. You're not a bad person for doing so, as it's perfectly human. So the real fear built into your biology is that you're possibly missing out on the right one and only settled for the one you have now. If someone far better for you really did come along and stepped into your life while you were with the person you settled with, wouldn't that alone cause you to love your settlement less? And if so, doesn't that clearly demonstrate that they are not the one? An idealist might say, oh, you can find out what your partner's conception of love is. All you have to do is communicate. And that's the solution from every marriage therapist. Communicate. Even this advice fails. While humans are blessed with the ability to communicate with each other in a way that animals are not, it is still incredibly hard to transfer one piece of information from one mind to another. Case in point, I can sit here and tap my finger on the table, the rhythm to a song everyone knows, like the national anthem. In my head, I'll hear every note, but to those listening, they would only know that's what I was doing if I said so. That being true of something easily recognizable as a song, it's more difficult to transfer information from one mind to another regarding the complex concept of love. One's conception of it is often born out of examples of it they've experienced, such as their parents. Is it at all likely that their parents loved each other the same way your parents did, the same way that you want to be loved? And if so, is it at all likely it had the same level of influence on them as you, and they drew the same conclusions from it as you? The belief in the soulmate is crippling, particularly to the young. They will invest so much of their time, money, emotions, and energy into a partner that isn't a good fit for them because they want to believe they've found their soulmate, like a woman that stays with an asshole boyfriend when everyone knows she could do better. The investment made up to this point is so great that abandoning it now would be so drastic a change to affect their mental stability. It becomes particularly dangerous when irreversible decisions are made under the belief of soulmate mythology, or decisions that are expensive to take back. The believer is now trapped in a no-win scenario. They are unhappy in their current relationship, and more unhappiness will be created in getting out of it. So strange and ironic how we strive for independence in all other aspects of our lives, financial independence, social freedom, work-life balance, but we are so gleeful to surrender our independence to another person for the sake of love. We'll hand over our mental stability and emotional dependency to this person's mercy without a second thought, and at any moment, they can crush it without a second thought. Save yourself the pain and drop your belief in the one. There is no one. You will find some that are better than others, but no need to find one perfect against them all. you find life to be a lot less stressful and the pool of potentials to be a lot larger. This is not to advocate the MGTOW path. You don't need to divorce women from your life entirely, but you are best served to divorce yourself of the burning desire to find the one that will love you in the manner you expect to be loved.
The myth of a stronger reunion. Many guys, post-breakup, buy into the myth that if they can get back together with their girlfriend, the second time around will be better. You two will have been through a lot and are stronger now to weather anything because, after all, you just weathered a breakup. If you can overcome this one, it would take something monumentally greater to break you up again. But this, too, is another myth that the blue pill has conditioned you to believe. The fact of the matter is that it is always far better for you to go looking for new potential partners than it ever is to get back together with a previous one. The real growth and developing strength of character comes from starting from scratch again. Once you know you can lose a woman but find another shortly after, you are better able to keep the frame and tolerate a lot less trash, and as a result, keep the woman you already have. This myth that a reunion is an ideal end to the story persists because it's an easy lie to believe. It speaks directly to the certainty hunger we all crave. That same hunger fuels our desire to avoid risks, especially when it comes to rejection. To go looking for new potential partners is to risk rejection, and the results are highly uncertain. Letting this motive rule your life will give it the keys to ruin it. Reuniting with an ex is more than just a rejection-avoidant tactic. It's also an acceptance of defeat. It tells your mind that you're okay with settling, that you don't deserve better. The blue pill way is supposedly less risky, as it often has you taking the easier path. But in truth, giving in to this temptation is letting the work avoidance motive win the day. Because post-breakup, you have work to do. The main reason you'd consider reuniting is because you have an unhealthy attachment to this person. You must re-examine your feelings about them and ask yourself, if I take them back, what do I expect will be better the second time around? If you cannot present a case to yourself in specific terms as to how it will be better this time, then what are you doing? You're repeating the exact same thing again and expecting a different result. Perhaps the breakup was your fault and you were the one that was abandoned. So you figure you'll work on yourself and turn over a new leaf. Many guys are more than willing to do that, and while doing so, they believe they are becoming better men. But they are deluding themselves because, in meeting the new terms of the renegotiated relationship, they are reverting back to their blue pill conditioning. A genuinely beneficial relationship is established on true mutual desire. Never does one arise from agreeing to a list of negotiations and responsibilities. Relationship reboots require these by their very nature. But true desire can never be negotiated, let alone renegotiated. Think back to when you first met this person. What drove you to pursue them? A burning desire that spoke to you from your blood to your bones, that you just had to get closer to this person. A similar feeling was also at play in their minds as well. But now, post-breakup, the initial arousal and attraction cannot be recreated. It's a sensation you cannot stage that occurs in the part of our psyche that you cannot trick. However, you can evoke it in someone new and fresh. The scarcity mindset that this one person you were with was the best one you could have had, the fear of missing out, is one of the tools used by the demon possessing you, torturing your mind and even making you feel physical pain. This demon whispers lies in your ears that you blew it with your one best chance. The soulmate myth and one-itis return with a vengeance. You must make no effort nor attempt to reunite. You will only humiliate yourself if you do. These feelings and internal pressures to act are unique to you. She does not feel the same, not one bit. For the guy that attempts to go back to her will be humbled, and even if she obliges him, he will never have her full respect again. It will never leave her mind that he was so void of other options that his only choice was to beg her for a second chance. Always seek out a fresh start instead. When you start over with someone brand new, it gives you a chance to use what you've learned from your past relationships. When the search is restarted, you have a more specific idea of what you do and don't want, and what you will and won't accept. Your next relationship with someone is already bound to be better because you're less likely to settle for something similar to what you just lost. With a new person, you get more experience with different kinds of women and as a result, get better overall with women.
And that's one mindset to always have, that getting better with women in general is more important than getting better with one specific woman. Further, never forget that as you age, your value and appeal to other women only goes up. Your ex's value and appeal to other guys is on a daily decline. You will end up getting the better end of the deal. It's her loss just from the natural progression of time. Confidence comes from having options. This one option that even the most monogamous of men can have, the option of not needing the relationship to continue because he could get another soon after if it should end. Never hope to rekindle a past relationship, but rather hope to become so good with women that you wouldn't even consider it. Remember, after taking a shower, don't put the same shitty clothes back on. That's exactly what you do when you look to reunite with an ex. The myth of her being out of your league. The mind loves organization and likes to classify things into little groups. When it comes to who should be with who, we use a convenient numeric scale of 1 to 10. The women you really desire are the 9s and 10s on that scale. What you would expect is the women that are the 2s and 3s would be with guys that are 2s and 3s. But in reality, all women, as shown by OkCupid and various dating apps, from the 1s to the 10s, want the guys that are the 9s and 10s. How these numbers are assigned is strictly by appearance. The female 10 is the most gorgeous she can be. The scale does not look at other factors that social imperatives would have you consider. Some of that is just due to hypergamy and women's mating strategy being what it is, but the larger effect that this numeric scale and the way it's used by the sexes is that it has created the myth of leagues. We'd like to think that the 9s go with the 9s and the 10s go with the 10s because that keeps everything perfectly organized in our minds. And when even the women that are lower on that scale are going after guys higher up on that same scale, you get the idea that too many women are just out of your league. But the truth is that no woman is out of your league. Appearance is important, yes. I impress that upon all my coaching clients, and it's why I include personal training in their contracts. But it is only one of 3 components that can seal the deal. To arouse and attract a woman, a man must have 2 of the following 3 things: good looks, good wealth, and solid allure. Having only one of these 3 is not good enough. Looks will fade. Wealth can be lost. And the trouble with allure is that it's hard to be doing it all the time, and quite often in relationships, guys forget to do it. They too often revert to their blue pill cultural conditioning. We all have seen the beautiful woman with an ugly guy, or with an old guy, which is a dead giveaway. It's just about the money. Just look up Selma Hayek's husband. Almost every guy looks better than him. Even if not, every guy is able to do something about their looks, like hitting the gym or getting groomed regularly. That's the point that debunks this myth. Each of the 3 things is something you can get better at. You can do the hard work to increase your wealth. You can do what's necessary to improve your appearance. And you can do so much to learn the craft of allure. You only need to have 2 out of the 3. Now look up the wife of Nick Volusic, a man born without any limbs. Look up the wife of Sean Stevenson, a man born with defective bones. These fellows aren't hunks, nor are they particularly rich, but they do have allure in their own ways. My theory is that the lives they've lived with their respective conditions has given them very interesting lives. Therefore, the stories they tell are inspiring, and lessons that can be learned from them may even be life-changing. These 2 fellows didn't sit around moping about what they can't do, but they put much focus and effort on what they can do. Volusic focused on developing his mind and intellect. As a kid, he became incredibly good with math, and as an adult, he became a wordsmith and mastered the formula for inspirational speaking. Everyone with a brain and a voice can do this. Limbs are not necessary, but most people don't do this. Stevenson focused on social intelligence and learning how to make people feel better about themselves. He also developed a deep emotional literacy to the point where almost anything bad that happened to him, he immediately viewed as a gift, an opportunity to become even stronger. Most people merely bitch about the bad that happens to them. Every guy should learn allure and to develop his own way about it, because learning this one is a lot easier than building great wealth and transforming your appearance. Allure is your ability to make her laugh, inspire positive emotions and memories with her, make a moment magical to her, tell her a story that sucks her right in. Get her to wonder about you when you're not around. Demonstrate emotional intelligence and strength of character, and carry a conversation that she doesn't want to end. Learn this, and no woman is out of your league.
The myth of the quality woman. Mothers constantly tell their aging sons that they need to meet a nice quality woman and do it soon. Many guys are highly annoyed with this imperative because it's not like they can just go to the woman market and ask for a quality one. But even if there were such a market, they still couldn't supply you because the quality woman does not exist. June Cleaver never existed. Her character was written the way she was, all because that's what the writers and the producers of the show wished women were like. Just like with porn, it only exists because real sex isn't like that. This isn't to say that there aren't women out there that are true ride-or-die loyal women. Just don't expect them to be as fiercely in love with you as Morticia Addams was with Gomez after the fempowerment mandate brainwashed them. What exactly do we mean by quality? What is the proper measurement of it? Some might say it's a woman to marry and start a family with. Others may say begin a long-term relationship with. It's all subjective, and the necessary first step is to define what matters most to you. For a lot of guys I've worked with, our coaching sessions actually revealed that what they really wanted and meant by quality woman was one that would impress other men and make their exes angry. This was the first problem. Using the measurements of others to set the standards for themselves. Suppose there were no limitations on what you could have. Suppose a genie came out of the lamp and was ready to grant you your wish. Our biological imperative would have us wish for a life supply of porn stars in our rotation. The problem here is that it's unrealistic, or the amount of work needed to make that happen is more than we're willing to do. The most accurate answer to what is meant by quality lies somewhere between those 2 points. But the real danger in the belief of a quality woman is that you're likely to use it as an excuse to settle with someone because she's quality, when deep down, you have really just stuck a quality label on a woman you've only settled for. That's all. The masters of allure understand that integrity, loyalty, and duty are masculine concepts. Women do not have them. That is how the masters of allure can get any woman into their beds, no matter how wholesome, married, or loyal she is. They know that women only make rules and keep those rules for the blue-pilled guys. They break those rules for ideal men. Do not concern yourself with finding the quality woman. Quality itself is a myth. Quite often, it's just a term guys use not to define the woman they want, but rather excuse themselves for not pursuing women they don't believe they stand a chance with. It's an ego preservation and discomfort avoidance tactic. Oh, I'm not going after that hot girl there because she's probably trashy. I'm holding out for a quality one. The belief in such a woman is blue pill in nature because it places women on a preconceived, idealized pedestal and dismisses any of them that are less than that. Quite possibly, this is just a social convention of the fempowerment mandate to ensure what it considered quality women were not left to choose from the leftovers that the 9s and 10s left behind. Further, the quality woman is really a wolf in sheep's clothing. It is the soulmate myth sneaking back into your psyche. Allowing yourself to believe in it opens the door for it to become a substitute for the one-itis ideal and scarcity mindset that comes with it. Some guys, even in the Red Pill Consortium, will say that a virgin or a woman with less previous sex partners is the quality woman. This is where I part ways with my Red Pill brothers. I understand their reasons for it. There are studies that show a woman with high body count is less likely to form a solid bond with her next man. If these sex partners were all the byproduct of serious relationships, any guy would be concerned about why she had so many failed relationships. And there's also the possibility of her carrying an STI. But I say, do not be so quick to write off so many so fast. Some of the treasures you're most quick to show off and tell others about are the ones that were found in the most unlikely places. Had I held the belief that a high body count women should be written off, I'd have missed out on a great connection I had with an Instagram influencer. Not only was she hot, but her mind was something to behold as well, as she never showed a single sign of psychotic behavior. She also showed me more respect than the women with fewer previous partners. She only had so many sex partners because she just liked sex. We as males really like sex too, so why are we complaining that there are women who like it a lot as well? In Never Ghosted Again, I wrote a great deal about the idealization of virgins,
and how it was making today's dating environment so difficult. We should not be contributing to that. By and large, men do not contribute to negative judgments about women who are quick to have sex. The real slut-shamers in today's world are not men, but rather women. One study specifically shows that rich women are the ones doing the bulk of the slut-shaming. It's also worth noting that the more seemingly wholesome or traditional or untarnished the woman is, the more you'd fall for the trap of believing this woman is different, which are 4 very dangerous words for you to think of. And the more likely you are to revert to your blue pill conditioning, become submissive to her, and surrender the frame. Because you perceive her to be so different, you make more sacrifices and concessions for her. Further, spinning plates, or working a rotation, or managing a book of beauty, or just utilizing options is something that we in the Red Pill Consortium encourage all men to do. How can we encourage all men to do this, but then mandate they marry a virgin if they wish to marry? How can anyone expect there to be any virgins left if so many men were working their rotations? Some say that a woman that is loyal to you, loves you, and would never cheat on you is the quality woman. But really, when you learn how to properly and optimally conduct allurement, that's any woman that's into you. You determine what is quality. If you feel you are attracting what you perceive to be low-quality women, first examine yourself, because you are what you attract. Make evaluation first of your own quality, and always be increasing it.
The myth of the lonely old man.
I don't believe it happened this way, but imagine with me that the originators of the fempowerment mandate met in a room together to plot a scheme that would benefit women over men. These feminists say they don't need men, but they do want men to fall in line with their mandate, part of which is for men to be ready, willing, and sufficient providers for women when the women decide they want one. Having a provider male to fall back on is a good option to carry in the back pocket. How could they ensure that such a male would be ready and available when needed? By creating and spreading the myth that a man who never marries ends up lonely and miserable. Thus, the blue pill cultural conditioning included this trope in its influential media depictions. There are even behavioral motives that would aid them in enforcing this myth, such as certainty hunger and work avoidance. We're conditioned to abhor loneliness and avoid it at all costs. I do believe there is great value in having a social circle and close relationships, but loneliness is not the carcinogen we're conditioned to believe it is, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. Loneliness is an opportunity to cultivate the skills necessary for the independence and self-reliance you need as a man. It's vitally important for all males to have a few years without a primary female relationship in his life, such as a mother or a girlfriend or a wife. That way, he has a chance to observe and study the world and life without the influence of a female overlord whose approval he must always seek. He's born with a female overlord, specifically his mother, and has no choice but to behave in the way she thinks he should. In relationships with girlfriends, the case is often similar. If he no longer behaves how she wants him to, the relationship may end. The same goes for marriage, where the wife is the female overlord. But in that case, if he does not behave to her liking, the cost of that relationship ending is much greater. To go from mother to LTR to LTR to marriage with no break is to rob yourself of a tremendous opportunity. The chance to learn to be happy without external forces. The chance to learn how to develop joy, which comes from within, as opposed to pleasure, which comes from without. When this man can develop joy without the presence of a woman or her approval, he's liberated himself from the shackles he was born in. This ability to create inner joy all by yourself is a tool you can carry with you through the rest of your life that no one, not even the most desirable woman, can take away from you. Even better, having this tool may even allow you to attain the woman you find best suited for you, because you will not have the need nor feel the pressure to settle. You'll know from your experience with this alone time that women are not essential to make you happy. Women used to fear becoming the old maid or the crazy cat lady. Now men fear becoming the lonely old man, miserable because he's unmarried. How the fempowerment mandate managed to flip these roles of fear, and largely unnoticed, is quite remarkable. But they have so many allies in spreading this myth. The dating industry, such as apps, speed dating, coaches, etc. would have you believe this lie because their profit depends on it. The idea was planted in your mind, so you'd value the company of a woman over your own independence. The subtle suggestion of this myth is, listen, boy, you better clean up your act and make yourself as appealing as possible, or you may miss your chance with your soulmate and be alone till the day you die. Quite often, it encourages you to settle with someone that is your lesser. It was a way to allow for women with lower sexual market value to attain men with higher sexual market value, like you'd see in the romantic comedies that they love. Further, it's work avoidance at play again. If you're in a relationship, even if it's one you settled for, you aren't getting rejected. You don't have to go out into the dating pool, face rejection, do the hard work to learn allure. The more guys that learn how to allure, the less power the fempowerment mandate has, and the less opportunities there are for women to exercise hypergamy. No longer would the lay of the land be men doing the chasing while women do the choosing, but rather the opposite. The lonely, unmarried, miserable male myth is just an urban legend that serves women's interests. They want romantic-minded guys pushing 30 to be ready to provide for them when they are pushing 30 and can no longer compete with the 20 to 25-year-old girls for your attention. It doesn't serve your interests because it keeps you from developing your real potential with allure and many other opportunities in life. It has you give in to the work avoidance motive. Many guys that settle say things like, "Oh, I'm just so tired of the games and dating," when really, they're just lazy. Often we say the real test of character is how we behave when no one's watching, when we're alone. The same can be said about the test of a man when he is alone. How you capitalize on opportunities that the freedom of singlehood allows you is more likely how you'll be remembered, if you are to be remembered. It speaks louder about your true character, what you did when you had the freedom to do anything you wanted. The guy who lost those opportunities because he was married is instantly forgotten. Losses and voids create openings in your life. If you fill them with anxiety, worry, or even a settlement girlfriend, you can never create anything new in that space. There are divorced men in their 50s who have girlfriends in their 30s. There are married men in their 60s that are miserable because they've permanently enjoyed themselves with a disrespectful, no longer attractive wife that has held them emotionally hostage for decades. Marriage does not protect you from women's bullshit and the pain they may cause you. What is the value of being married while on your deathbed? Just to say you didn't die alone? What's the point of all the compromise, pain, stress, and sacrifice? To win at relationships? What do you even win? It's nothing more than the silly bullshit that high schoolers use to pick on each other. Oh, look at Johnny. He can't even get a date for the dance. He can't even get a girlfriend. What a loser. School's over. Don't act like it still matters. Or it ever did. Finally, most of us are going to die alone no matter what. Most people do die alone. We have this image in our minds that on our deathbeds, we'll be surrounded by people we love, maybe 3 generations of family, as we pass peacefully into death. Now, as someone who's once worked in a nursing home, let me break it to you what it's really like. You die in the middle of the night because your lungs were filled with fluids, or your central nervous system just had to shut down. If you're lucky, you'll have a nurse there to hold your hand as you go, but death from old age passes so quick, you really don't have enough time to notice if anyone's there with you, nor the thinking ability to give a shit about it. What all of these things, all of these beliefs that we think will make us happy, what they're all fueled by is illusory focus. An awesome job, more money, good looks, fame, talent, finding your soulmate, reuniting with an ex, or making sure you don't die alone. None of these things will make you happy. The idea that they will is purely illusory because of where your focus lies. With all these things, the focus is on something that you lack, and also on a particular pain you're feeling that's brought on by your current situation. The fact that it's current only highlights it in your focus, making it appear worse than it really is. Illusory focus suggests that nothing in life is as important as you think it is while you're thinking about it. The dwelling on the matter unjustly causes us to think it's a bigger deal than it truly is. My parents were both northerners. While living in the north, they often complained about the winter with the heavy snowfall, having to shovel out the driveway, wake up early to warm up the car and rinse off the windshield. You'd think when they finally moved to Florida, they'd be happy, right? Wrong. Once they got to Florida, they just found new things to bitch about, like the heat, the bugs, the tourists. Why? Well, 1 is because they're just negative, miserable people to begin with, but 2 is because of illusory focus. The more you selectively take notice of a specific thing in your life, the more power you think it has over you. In the same way, Many guys think their life is unbearable right now because they are single and think everything will be better when they finally have a girlfriend. But this intense focus on dissatisfaction with being single causes them to make stupid decisions like settling for a woman they really don't want. Or this intense focus causes them to forget the fact that girlfriends come with their own set of baggage and new problems. Being aware of this and seeing past this illusion is important to have a happy existence as a male. It will allow you to avoid many decisions you'll later regret. Comparing things like cars, careers, vacations, and prospective female lovers will have you zoom in on one aspect very closely while blinding yourself to hundreds of other vital factors. Giving greater significance to one aspect fools you into believing it's more critical when it's not. If you were to look at the life of a man you envy because he has a gorgeous girlfriend, look at it minute to minute, you might see it differently. His life isn't much greater than yours, if at all. He still has to go to work, commute in traffic, eat food, take shits, and resist temptations brought on by an asshole world population. The effect of having a gorgeous girlfriend is actually negligible. Part 3. Vaccines. Can we make ourselves instantly happy right away? Actually, yes. Believe it or not, your life is already pretty awesome. In the graphic novel V for Vendetta, which is much better than the movie, when the character Evie finds out it was really V that imprisoned her, V tells her, "You've been in a prison your whole life. I just showed you the bars." In the same way, you've been in a paradise your whole life. Now, let's show you the palm trees.
Thank you for listening to this free sample of the book, Reinvent Ideal: What to Do When You're Depressed and No One Cares Because You're Not a Chick, by Cairo Copeland. If you enjoyed it and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/ideal. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/ideal.